And joining us now are two of Peter's colleagues and competitors, former CBS Evening News anchor Dan Rather. And in Livingston, Montana, where there's no assignment to cover, he's just as comfortable as he should be, former NBC Nightly News anchor Tom Brokaw. And I appreciate both of you being with us today. Tom, I use the word competitors, but there is a unique bond. You three particularly know the pressures and know the pitfalls. And it does seem strange at this moment to have the two of you without the third leg of the triangle.
It does to us indeed, and we were not just competitors and colleagues, we were really friends. We had a lot of opportunities to reflect on this in the last year. It was a competitive brotherhood. We appeared at a number of dinners together and seminars, and I think we reflected on the idea that we had been together so many big stories over the last 30 years of our careers, and Peter especially, I think, summarized for all of us the feelings that Dan and I have, that the three of us had when he said, people often ask, are you friends? And Peter said, yes, we are friends, because we don't see each other that often. But the fact is that we were friends, and then he went on to say that we've all made each other better. And I think that's the essential truth of the relationship that we have. You know, to be an anchor requires two essential elements: bravado, that you can go out there and do the job, and fear that you may not do it right. And that motivated, I think, the three of us. Dan, I don't mean to speak for you, but I think that was a big part of the character of Peter Jennings and his long and very distinguished and enviable career.
Dan, talk to me a little bit about that bond, because there really were only two people that you could share thoughts with about those two things that Tom just mentioned, the bravado and the fear.
Well, that's true, Charlie, but I think it's important to note that Peter, more than I, perhaps more than Tom had to speak for himself, he had it in perspective. It was, don't take yourself so seriously. Peter took his work very seriously, but he did not take himself seriously. And he was a little uncomfortable very uncomfortable with the word star, and a little uncomfortable with the word anchor, because he really did think of himself as a reporter. He had the heart of a reporter, and he had the will and the skill of a reporter. And he died as he lived and reported. Brave, principled, loving to his family, loyal to his friends, caring about other people, especially the poor, was just evening that he ran out in the Hamptons for the benefit of people far less fortunate than himself, and always with this deep passion for the years. And I think it's fair to say, I know it is, that we recognize that in one another. And make no mistake, inside that tall, handsome, elegant, and eloquent exterior, inside that beat the heart of a fierce but principled competitor. And the last person you wanted to see coming on the story, and particularly a big story, was Peter Jennings.
Well, Dan, that leads me to the question. How much did you guys keep an eye on each other? And did you follow what the other was doing?
I can't speak for Peter or Tom, but I can tell you how much did I keep an eye on him? Constantly, all the time. Never let him out of his sight. And if Peter Jennings was in the area code, I didn't sleep.
And Tom, how about you?
Charlie, the three of us got together and had a dinner earlier this year, and Ted was there as well. And one of the things that I said, this is after I stepped down from Nightly News, is that I wake up every morning now not worrying about, is Peter on an airplane or is Dan on an airplane going somewhere? We bump into each other all over the world during one of the most tumultuous news times in any journalist's history, and we enjoyed every moment of it. And I think that what I always relished about having Peter as a colleague and as a competitor is that his passion was never tempered. You'd be in a meeting with him at the White House or at the senior level at the Pentagon or see him in Beirut, and Peter was just thrilled to be there and to be a part of it. And yet he began his broadcasting career when he was 9 years old in Canada, and he never gave up his love of it.
Well, gentlemen, I cannot thank you both enough for being with us. As I say, it is almost unnatural to have two legs of the triangle without the third. And this is
Charlie?
Yes, go ahead.
Can I just say one thing? This is not Livingston, Montana. We're in the rural reaches of McLeod, Montana, and I wouldn't want the 40 people who live in McLeod to think that we were overlooking their address or their zip code, as Dan might have put it.
I have a feeling, I could tell right away, just from the backdrop, that might not be Livingston. Okay. It might indeed be McLeod. All right, thanks ever so much, Tom. And Dan, thank you. Beirut we can recognize, and I appreciate your being with us as you are on assignment at the moment. For other great news coverage, watch ABC News, available on AOL service.